Hi there, I'm Judy Holland, and welcome to Happy Nest, the podcast where you can hear the latest research and best advice for living well when your kids leave home. Join me as I interview experts and explore how to reinvent yourself during this critical passage. I hope you'll head over to judyhollandauthor.com and check out my new book, Happy Nest, Finding Fulfillment When Your Kids Leave Home. David and Claudia Arp have run seminars and marriage education programs for tens of thousands of couples around the world. They've been at it for more than 3.5 decades. They've also been married for 56 years. Together, they've written more than 40 books on relationships that have sold more than 1 million copies in 10 languages. Their books include The Second Half of Marriage and 10 Great Dates for Empty Nesters. The Arps have appeared on NBC, PBS, and CBS, and their work has been featured in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Washington Post, and Ladies' Home Journal. One secret to their happy marriage? They spend lots of time together hiking in Northern Virginia, as well as in the Austrian Alps. If you want to learn time-tested tips for a healthy marriage in the second half of life, tune into this episode. Welcome, David and Claudia.
Thanks, Judy. Good to be with you.
It sure is.
This is fun.
It's wonderful, and thank you for inviting me to your home here in Virginia. It's really pretty here, and I actually see trees instead of tall buildings. So to begin with, and anybody jump in whenever you want, what's different about couples who stay happily married? Are they just better matched? Do they just happen to find their soulmate? Are they just lucky that way?
Oh, I wish that were true. Some couples do have an easier time of it, but all of us have to work on our relationship. Clay and I have been married for 56 years. And, we've been working on it for a while.
Judy, I was 10 when we got married.
I know. Yeah, it looks like that.
We did get married in college, and so we sort of grew up together. And we learned marriage together. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's, the one thing we'll say, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's worthwhile. It's worth it. But the happy couples, you don't just fall into a happy marriage. Definitely not in the empty nest.
Yeah.
Why is there this sentiment in the ether that, marriage shouldn't be a lot of work? People think that work is work.
Yeah.
Jobs are work.
Right.
Yeah. Shoveling the driveway is work, right?
Yeah. Right.
So I think people don't think marriage should be work.
Yeah.
Well, they think, if we have this wonderful wedding and this fantastic honeymoon and drop tens of thousands of dollars, our marriage is going to be great.
It's all
people, I think one problem, people prepare for the wedding, but they don't prepare for the marriage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's
now maybe for
important.
us, because when we got married 100 years ago, we didn't have destination weddings and all that kind of stuff. We just got married in college, and Judy, as you have seen already, we're very different personalities.
Right.
And
opposites attract.
Yeah, they do. So Claudia is a high energy, very creative, very vocal person. I'm the more, laid back, easygoing. So
and you're keeping the trains on time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So when we first got married, what attracted us to each other, her busyness and my laid backness became
more irritations.
Yes.
I loved when we first met. He was so easygoing and laid back and fun to be with. He never looked at his watch. I just loved being around him. And then we got married and the guy wouldn't move.
Right.
So we had to learn to find unity in our diversity. Yeah. That's something that I think couples struggle with, like if he were more like me, we'd get along better, right?
Yeah, and
but
we'd kill
not
each
necessarily.
So
now, David.
So I returned a couple weeks ago from Berkeley, California, where I was talking to a brilliant researcher, Bob Levinson at Berkeley, who has done a 25-year study on aging. And he's looked at couples and relationships in this huge study where you get some giant grant. It's just the mother of all studies. And he told me something that applies to what you two just said and also applies to my husband and myself. He said that couples that are very opposite, at the beginning, that can be a huge attractant, that can be really attractive. It can be very difficult in the middle of marriage, in the midst of kids and all the chaos of everything, when you realize, my gosh, this person, it's a right brain, left brain, doesn't think like me. But this just out, great news for you guys and us, in the second half of marriage, later on, there's nothing better and happier and more suited for survival and fulfillment than people that bring very different personalities and skills to the table. And he has just come out with research related to this.
Cool.
Oh, that's
Claudia,
exciting.
I think we're going to make it.
I think you're going to make it.
There's hope.
One thing that we have learned and have done in our, seminars and our books and resources is helping couples look at the ways they're like and the ways that they're different. And in the ways that they are different, how do they complement each other? But in the ways that they're like, how do they compensate? Because they are missing that other perspective. So that helps them to begin to find that unity and diversity.
Yeah. So you guys have had this amazing wealth of hearing so many people in so many countries, not just Americans, not just Germans, not just so many couples talk about their relationships. You've got really like this amazing batch of knowledge. What did most couples clash over? And again, I'm looking more, I guess I'm a little less interested right now in the 20-year-olds, but as we are a little more seasoned in life, what do most couples clash over?
That's an interesting question, because what research has shown is no matter where you are in marriage, whether you're just getting started or whether you're like us, a little bit further along, it's money, communication, and sex. Those are the top three.
In that order?
Not
Women tend to say money, communication, and sex. Men tend to say money, sex, communication.
Interesting. That makes
But
sense.
this is some research that we did with the University of Denver. Marital Research is there with a book we were doing with them on fighting for your empty nest marriage. And it came out, they have done extensive research, but then we sort of combined their research with ours on the second half of marriage, and we were focusing on the empty nesting years, and it came out the same.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
So that was interesting.
Yeah. Some things never change.
Yeah. So can we learn to disagree better in a long-term marriage, in a, what do we call it, second half of life marriage? I don't know what to call it. I don't want to think I'm in the last third at age 60.
The third half.
I'm going to say the second half, okay? Can we all
Right.
talk euphemistically? So can you learn to disagree? Can couples learn to disagree better in the second half of marriage? Can you unlearn, quotes around that word, destructive behavior in a marriage?
Absolutely.
And you can do that by learning the skills that you need in order to handle conflict and problems.
For example, what would be a skill I need to know? Because I think I've been around a long time, and I ought to know most things by now at age 60. Don't you think I should?
You should. What happened to you, Judy? We have to talk to John. Maybe he can help you out.
Well, you have to learn to process anger in a way that releases energy to build your love relationship. Yeah. And you can do that. Yeah. And I think, right. And our mentors were a wonderful couple, Doctors David and Vera Mace. They were British. They introduced marriage enrichment education here years ago, and he was on the faculty at Wake Forest Medical School, and they taught us how to process our anger. And so we pass that on, in our seminars.
One of the tools, it's very simple. It's we call it an anger contract.
Okay.
It's
great
not complicated.
for empty nest couples.
It is, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
The first part of the first item is when you start to feel that emotion of anger or being upset, you just verbalize that. Claudia, I'm beginning to get a little bit upset with you right now.
I'd never know.
Yeah. Or maybe you do it the other way around, Claudia, because you use it more than I do.
Right,
so
right.
Let's reverse it, because she uses it much more than I do, because I'm laid back.
I get angry more often, I guess.
There's a little fire there.
There's a little fire there. Yeah,
it's
it keeps...
part and parcel.
There's a spark in our relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to ignite it. First, it's just to say, Dave, I'm getting angry with you right now. I mean, he would never know that I was angry.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And
you need to clue him in.
You need to clue that person in.
Not in a mean way.
Rather than just keep getting angry, say, I'm getting angry with you. The second part is to say, I'm getting angry with you, but I'm not going to vent that anger on you. I'm not going to attack you. Mm-hmm. So that person relaxes, okay, I'm not going to get attacked here.
Yeah.
And the third part is to say, but I need you to help me.
Yep,
with what's going on here.
Okay, so that's sort of bringing in the other team member.
Yeah,
right.
And so it's to my benefit to help her figure out. Now, it could be something I did, or it could be something else, But if I can help her figure out what's causing that anger, then we're both going to be happier. So it's a win-win for both.
There may be something else that's gone on totally separate for you. You don't even know about that's agitated her. She's on the edge. And then you are the last straw.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing this is a practical tip. This is really easy for couples in the empty nest to catch that anger before it is full blown. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that is, we just decide, if we're disagreeing about something, one of us will say, well, hey, wait. Whose day is it to be angry? No, wait.
No, you messed that up, Claudia. You messed that up. You get that? It's whose day is it to be right?
Okay.
You got it.
Is it your day or is it my day to be right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you're kind of making a joke out of an angry situation.
It makes it a joke, and you just pull back then and laugh.
Humor is much better.
Oh, humor helps tremendously.
What about sarcasm?
Sarcasm is not good.
Is that toxic? What is
it's toxic.
It's absolutely toxic.
Yeah. Why?
Because it's putting the other person down. It's not valuing the other person. I mean, the other person really does feel attacked and belittled, and all
and
that.
it's full of contempt.
Yeah. So humor is good.
Humor is good. Sarcasm is bad.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. I mean, in the heat of battle, sometimes we forget these things, even though we might intuitively know them, or even perhaps be able to teach them to our children.
Right.
Yeah.
We sometimes lose ourselves, and especially some of us that are a little more fiery than the average bear, right?
Yeah.
Right, Claudia. So how do you keep love alive in the second half of marriage? I mean, there is, there's no doubt. I'm sure you've read Gift from the Sea and Merle Lindbergh. I mean, clearly, it's a different kind of relationship as we are married many more years. How do you keep love alive? How do you keep the romance in the marriage?
Well, it's great. When the kids are gone, you have the whole house.
Right.
So you need to experiment. You need to look for ways to
put a little more spice in the relationship and try new things. There's one couple. There's one story we'll never forget, because they had just gone into the empty nest, and so they built a hot tub out on their deck.
Yep.
Off their bedroom.
And it's a very secluded, type of situation. Nice. So one evening they were out there in the hot tub having fun, and wind blew and somehow blew the door closed to the bedroom, and it was locked.
Oh, and they were stuck outside.
They were stuck outside in their,
right.
skinny dipping out in the hot tub, no towels, no key, no nothing. So, but us guys, we can solve anything. We can fix it. Yeah. Okay. So he said, "Hey, sweetheart, that's okay. Remember, we have a key by the garage in the front, there at the front of the house.
You go get it."
He says, I'll go get it. I'll run really quick. Nobody will see me. Everything's cool. So he goes down and he starts running around the house. Now, what they had both forgotten was the week before they had installed an elaborate security system.
Oh, gosh.
So
he's on video.
So the lights come on.
As soon as he ran, I don't know about the video, but as soon as he went around the first corner, all the outside lights came on. And he said,
Broadway.
He just ran. He said, I just ran as fast as I could, got the key and got back. He said, now we have a key, out by the
Because we have to modify things.
Yeah, it's a
Darwinian thing.
Yeah.
Another story
But that's wonderful.
from our seminar.
And then they laughed, and everything was much funnier.
Right.
And they always remembered that. And
They always took a key.
They keep one out there.
That's a good one.
But another couple, they enjoyed using their whole house for lovemaking and whatever. And one day, their empty nest kids walked in unexpectedly and were very embarrassed. So they got a big cowbell and put it at their back door.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ring the cowboy, ring the bell if you're going to come in. So.
Judy, too, you have to realize that, our love life in the second half and the empty nest years, it's more of a stroll than a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And our bodies, are different. But research shows, especially for women, sexual pleasure increases rather than decreases. It can be
a physiological thing.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
it's a physiological thing. And we live in a time...
Sing that.
Oh,
is that a German clock? Or that's
no, this is one of our differences. That's his phone.
That's mine?
Oh, it is.
Isn't
Where
it?
is it?
I think it is. It's one of your new tones.
Don't worry. I'm getting it for you, girl. That's all right.
No,
We will turn that off.
Yeah, that's good. Don't worry. It's fine. So the cuckoo clock was just reminding me of Germany because I know you spent time in Germany.
Okay, so where were we? We were talking about...
We're
we're living in age... Okay.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, but isn't, the connection in the marriage, how everybody feels about the other one and who's helping to take out the trash? Are you helping me and I'm helping you? Are you my... that's certainly very connected to the intimate life.
Yes.
Yes.
And I would kind of think even more so in the second half of marriage.
Yeah. And if the husband would just pay the water bill, everything would be really wonderful.
So I want to ask you about how you would have handled this had you been the one coming home like that. So I came home from doing podcasts up and down the East Coast, totally exhausted. I had driven 20 hours, visited with, 12 people, almost strangers all over the place, came back, got stuck on the GW Bridge behind a hairpin truck, and I'm thinking in the car as I'm coming back to DC, I am going to have a glass of wine, I'm going to sit in the bathtub. When I get there, I find out that I try to turn on the water, and the house is bone dry, and I found out something that's happened before. My very brilliant spine surgeon husband, who technically was a medical professor and kind of an absent-minded one at that, had left the water bill in his X-ray bag, all that for 3 months, and perhaps the others that follow, because I believe they send more than one in 3 months, don't you think?
I would think so.
I would think, yeah. And so, but I know there's a lot of mail, of junk mail, it can kind of be a blizzard, and there's no water. So anyway, I've ended up making a joke out of it, but it wasn't funny to me. It's funny to my friends, and it wasn't funny to me. So how might you work that one out? Like that's maddening, and I still have no water. Like I'm like a hobo. I go to other people's houses for at least 24 hours to have a shower.
Yeah, that's why we're holding our nose.
You could set up direct pay.
You can set up direct pay.
But I think you did it great with humor.
Yeah.
You handled it with humor.
Yeah. Right. With Dr. John in the Doghouse on my Instagram posts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So
in hot water. Dr. John's in hot water.
In hot water.
Okay, but
I didn't even have cold water in my house.
So you need to sit down and have a conversation about paying the bills. And if this is not working, what are some alternatives? What are some other things that we can consider?
Yeah.
You're adults. You can have these conversations. You really can.
Right.
I guess one of the things that we talk about empty nest and that type of thing and having these more serious conversations. In our national survey, when we were writing the book, Second Half of Marriage, one of the things that was very consistent was husbands would say, and these were all written comments but the husbands would say, now we're sitting at a table for 5 and there's only 2 of us.
Yep.
And it's a very quiet. That was one scenario. The other is my wife is bringing up all these issues from the past, and I don't know how to handle it.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, rapid fire. Like
errors. Errors from the past. Rapid fire.
Now that actually happened in our relationship. When we went into the empty nest in 1990. Well, that's a long time ago.
Oh my goodness, David!
It's a long time ago. So that was one of the things Claudia.
We've made it almost 30 years.
Almost. I think we're going to make it.
I think we're going to make it.
So anyway, we took an empty nest trip up to New England. We're walking. Claudia said, "Let's go walk on the beach." Now, when she said, "Let's go walk on the beach," I knew there was an agenda of some kind coming up.
Right.
Oh, now really?
Is that the beach a talking place? Is it a discussion?
Well, it's just when we go for a walk. If she says, "Let's go for," it's the way she says it.
Something.
Yeah, it means
it's
something. So we're walking.
Reading that. You're reading the
and so she started going through these things in the past, and I thought, wow, I'd forgotten all about that, or I thought that had been solved, or, so she's bringing up these issues, and I said, okay, and so this is not uncommon for us in the empty nest to have to deal with these, and for us guys, we don't know how to deal with it, wow, what do I say, how do I respond?
Yeah.
And so
you felt a bit blindsided.
A little blindsided, yeah, and not knowing quite how to respond.
Well, you have to refocus as you go into the empty nest. By your life situation, your marriage has been more child focused.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely,
and so now you
really
have to. The successful couples are able to refocus on their partner.
I was going to say, tell me what do the successful couples look like? Like they're able to refocus on their partner. You mean instead of everything on the kids or the jobs?
Well, let me first tell you what the unsuccessful couples in their marriage.
Good idea.
They stay focused on their adult children. They don't let them go. When our kids, we have 3 sons, and when they all left home for college, they left home. We didn't have cell phones. We couldn't.
Right. You had to put quarters in.
We couldn't text.
Yeah,
we couldn't FaceTime.
So I had to have quarters when I was a student. Yeah.
And also, it costs to call them. And so
long distance.
Right. But today, so many parents say so connected to their kids. And so you have to refocus.
Yeah.
Now, what happens a lot of times is that when the kids leave home, rather than focusing on the kids, they focus on their job or their hobbies.
Some people go barreling into the job.
Right. Yeah. And
and that actually happened to us too. We went from child focused relationship to, since we work together, to all of a sudden a work focus. Now we can write the books, we can do the seminars.
Now we can travel, we can do seminars wherever. We don't have to worry about being home with kids.
Yeah.
And so we signed too many book contracts. We accepted too many
then you're exhausted.
Seminars, and then we were
Claudia was just happy with the whole thing, but about 6 months into it, I remember like it was yesterday, we were sitting at our table over 2 cups of coffee, and I said, Claudia, if we keep this up, I'm going to be dead in 6 months. I mean, she was happy. She was charged. She's the high energy. Let's go. Take the hill. Yeah.
But again, you're the one I can see and tell. And I know you have a business background. You're keeping the trains on time, and you probably had a look of another train coming down the track. She might not have seen that train.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah. So anyway,
some couples just drift into the empty nest. Some crash. Yeah. And some go in it celebrating. We initially went in it celebrating, but then we got overcommitted. We had to pull back.
Yeah.
And we realized there were some real challenges to making this stage of marriage work.
Why?
But we can do that.
Why is the empty nest such a difficult challenge? And it's my impression that most people sweep this passage under the rug and try to march on without much of an acknowledgement that it is actually a very significant transition. What's up with that?
Well, one thing, during the adolescent years, and you have all of these teenage crises and all, you focus so much on that, that many couples put their marriage on the back burner during those years, and they lose their emotional connectedness.
Right. And the Love Lab did a lot of the John Gottman and company did a research on this, and they found a 2/3, a significant drop in marital satisfaction during these full throttle parenting years, which makes sense.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I'll have to tell you a funny story. There was a wonderful marriage education conference every year called Smart Marriages. I don't know if you ever heard about it.
I read about it because your husband told me about it, and I was researching around. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not there anymore, and we really miss it. But the first one, John Gottman was one of the Keynoters, and we were doing a seminar, and Second Half of Marriage had just come out.
Yep.
He came up to us and said, I want to tell you, my wife and I read your book, The Second Half of Marriage, and we really loved it. Mm-hmm. He says, you're right on, although your research methods are a little whatever.
Because those are all serious.
Yeah. And so he
measure and do statistics.
Yeah. So he actually endorsed our book.
Oh, great.
So and he didn't endorse much, so that was pretty cool.
So anyway.
But why do you think, why is the empty nest, new empty nest, it's treacherous, and then we're going to talk about what you taught me, the walkaway wife syndrome. Why is it treacherous?
Well, I think, like the walkaway wife syndrome, that's one part of it. Clay mentioned there, some people drift into it, some crash, some, celebrate.
Some walk away.
Sometimes Michelle Werner Davis, who's a well-known
divorce busting.
Yeah. You connected me with. Yeah. He sent me to her. Yeah.
So she coined this phrase, the walkaway wife syndrome. And so what often happens is the wife early on in the marriage realizes this is not the marriage that she hoped it would be or dreamed it would be, but because of the kids or finances or whatever, she's going to stay in it. But in her mind, she's already determined a date. It's usually around the empty nest, or the last kid goes to college. Yes, it's on the calendar. Last kid goes to college. Last kid gets married. Whatever it is, and then she comes in. That date arrives. She comes in. She announces that hey, sweetheart, we'd be great parents, but I don't love you anymore. I'm out of here. And the husband, generally speaking, is the busy executive who's, what do you mean? You haven't complained about, you haven't complained about our marriage in years. What's that all about?
I can remember we had this attorney call us from New York City. There'd been an article on the Second Half of Marriage in some magazine or paper, and he had seen it, and he called and he said, I need help. Can you help me save my marriage? He says, my wife came home. I came home from work last night. My wife just told me, honey, I loved you you were a great parent. I loved you when we had kids, but I don't love you anymore. I want a divorce.
And how surprised is he?
And he was just shocked. He says, if she wants to eat out more, we'll do that. If she wants this, we'll do that. Tell me, what can I do?
Yeah.
He was just totally blindsided.
Yeah, he was totally blindsided.
Yeah.
So,
gray divorce is huge now.
Gray divorce is
now part of the difference. Our parents, we didn't see that divorce rate spike like it has for those that have been married 30 plus years. But when you think about our parents and our grandparents, they grew up, they went to school, they got married, they had their children, the children left home, and then they died.
Right.
They didn't live as long.
And we're living a lot
And
longer.
See, we've been in the empty nest almost 30 years, Judy.
Yeah. So
we're
you look
hiking
at each other,
300 miles a year.
So you look at each other and you say,
another.
okay, do I want to be married to this person for another 30 years?
Right. It's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah.
And so it's from our survey for the Second Half of Marriage, there were two things that the greatest indicators of a successful long-term marriage were two things. One was the level of the couple friendship. Mm-hmm. Okay. The second was how well they manage anger and conflict. Mm-hmm. And how do you, one of our phrases is fun in marriage is serious business. Mm-hmm. And that may not have been true for past generations, but for our generation, we have a higher expectation. We want more from our relationship. We want more intimacy, more connectedness.
Right.
How do you do that? By spending time together. That's why we talk about dating. That's why dating is sort of our,
A date is fun.
Yeah.
It's
fun. Yeah.
Yes. Because it helps you make your marriage a priority. It helps you focus on each other and be intentional. Mm-hmm. And then you got to realize you're modeling for your children.
Yeah.
We're thinking that
That's a great new category.
A lot of children today, adult children, they're marrying later or they're not marrying because they're scared of marriage because they've seen their parents' marriage.
Yeah.
Right. It's really, there's a lot of monkey see, monkey do going on with regard to marriage. Right. So if you're modeling, good, we always want to be good models for our children, whether they're in the sandbox or in third grade on the baseball field, right?
Yeah.
But this is also a time of modeling. It shouldn't be the main driver, but it certainly you know that you're still teaching and you're still,
So, fun in marriage is serious business. And how do you put fun in your marriage? You should be intentional. You build that friendship.
We've never met anyone on the way to the divorce court who were having fun together.
Right. Let's talk about fun. In fact, I just did a podcast up at Yale with a woman who's a psychotherapist, and she deals with couples, and she talks about fun when the couples come into her office. She says, well, now I want to talk about the F word, and the people are just white as ghosts. And she says, F-U and fun. This is all about fun. Are you having fun together? And what are you doing to have fun? Yeah. And talking about fun, what about fun in a marriage? How do you have fun in a marriage?
Okay, so you mentioned that. Okay, and she probably gets this reaction from couples. They look at each other like, yeah, well, on the podcast you can't see my face, but like, what is that about? How do you have fun?
That's what we did before we were married.
And which is what we suggest is, go back down memory lane. Go back and think about it. When did you first meet? What were the things that attracted you to each other? What were the things you did back then? There was one couple I'd never forget. They were having a difficult time, and they said, "Oh, when we were dating, we went to the park and had our peanut butter and jelly sandwiches." I said, "Okay, that's what you do. You go back to the park. If you go back to the park where you were, that's
because that triggers where you were before. Yeah, right. Emotional state.
You get that positive. If you go back to a positive place,
It's emotional focused therapy.
Is that a thing? Is that a term?
It is. Yeah. That is
focused
therapy.
Yeah.
Tapping into an emotion.
Tap into and that's what we do with our 10 Great Dates to Energize Your Marriage program and the 10 Great Dates for Empty Nesters. It first takes them down memory lane and they remember. And then we have them think about positive thoughts. What's great about our relationship right now?
Right.
Mm-hmm. What are 2 things that are okay but could be better? And what is one thing I personally could do to make our relationship better? So if
you're listening to this podcast right now, that's
your assignment.
Okay. That's your assignment.
Go down memory lane and talk about what's great about us.
Yeah. 3 things that are good about us, 2 things that are okay but could be better, and 1 thing I personally could do to make our relationship better.
Not just what that other person
not what the other person, but I personally.
Judy, at one seminar we were doing this, and this husband came up to us and he said, I love this exercise. I know exactly what my wife can do to make our marriage better.
You missed the point, sir.
Missed the point.
How did you respond to him?
We said, you misunderstood that part of the question. It's what you
Maybe
can
I
do.
wasn't clear enough.
Yeah,
let me clarify.
You can do what you can do, and that's what you can do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Well, give me what I'm looking now. Let's wrap up with, I'd love just both of you, 1 at a time. What's your advice for couples before and after the kids leave home? I guess, a lot of people have kids are in high school. It's the impending empty nest. And I have dozens, even hundreds of people that talk to me about that phase, and they're anxious. They're anxious. The kid's 14 and they're worried about the empty nest. I'm like, wow, you haven't even been through high school yet. Don't waste your energy. You're going to need it. But what's your advice? I guess as you're on the doorstep of the empty nest, and then newly in it, and then even long term where you are. Just what's the cream of what you know? What can you skim off the top?
Never stop dating, and make sure you keep dating during those adolescent years. Yeah. And make sure that you're making your relationship a priority. Don't leave it on that back burner.
Judy, this past summer, we had we call it a dating club for young couples who had newly parents. Most of them had babies.
They're tired.
Yeah.
They're tired. They're tired, and they are so baby focused that our goal was to say, hey, your baby, you'll leave the baby for a couple of hours. Your baby's going to be just fine. Yeah. And we even help them find babysitters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so what we were trying to do was to help them say, during the parenting years, don't forget the person that made you a parent.
Right.
And so that's really important. And, when you go into the empty nest, there's some first aid tips. Mm-hmm. First, you're exhausted. The first thing you want to do is get some rest.
Because it's been a marathon.
It's been a long time. You just got that last kid at college, so get some rest, and then celebrate. Go out for dinner and celebrate, and acknowledge that this is a time of transition, and it may seem uncomfortable. Just the two of you, but that's okay.
Transitions are by definition uncomfortable.
Yeah. Right.
That's what a transition is.
Yeah. Right.
So just don't be surprised by it. This is part of it.
Don't accept any new responsibilities the first few months. Everybody is going to be at your doorstep asking you to volunteer in this program and that. Yeah. And so let things settle out. Take a pause.
Look around. Be a little still.
Yeah.
And last one is don't make any instant, decisions. If you're unhappy in your relationship, don't.
It's not the time to decide to be a walk-away partner.
Right.
And realize that you've got to reinvent your relationship. You've got to go from child-focused to partner-focused.
Yeah. Judy, so we've been married 56 years, and we've been through all these different phases, and we're marriage educators. We know these skills. We've written these books, and
you've been marinating in this stuff for decades.
So we have to work on our relationship, just like you and John have to work on your relationship, and those who are listening have to work on their relationship.
You have water in your house, though.
That's true. I do pay the bills. And almost everything's online automatically.
They're online automatically.
That might be the trick I need next.
Yeah, that may be.
I'll take that from you.
So you may have a solution.
I'll take a page from you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have to work on it, and it is work. I mean, sometimes we think, well, as you said at the beginning of the podcast, maybe this should be automatic, but it doesn't. Even for those of us who teach this stuff, we have to be intentional.
I am convinced that the best is yet to be.
Yeah.
And that each year has just been better. I mean, we're doing okay, aren't we? I think we're going to make it.
I think. So the last, for us, we're big hikers, as you know.
Yeah.
So our goal is
we're going on a hike, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we said we would do this podcast if Judy would go on a hike with us. So we're heading to our park.
So our goal is to hike in the woods somewhere 300 miles each year. Now, unfortunately for us, we spend a lot of time in Europe. So we're going in a couple of weeks. We're going to Austria, and we'll be hiking in the Austrian Alps.
Mountain hikes.
Yeah, we do serious hiking. Not black, no helmets, ropes, not that. But just
we use trekking poles, though. They're really good in the second half to keep you
from falling.
Right.
So
That's great.
But have some hobbies. Yep. Choose something you want to do together that you both would enjoy. You may want to learn a new sport.
Right, and probably a better one. My husband is a very gifted golfer that used to win plane tickets and things when he was younger playing golf, and I don't want to play golf with him. That's not the thing. I don't want to think about that. But we find different things to do. So find something fun that sounds fun for both of you. And a new thing.
Keep fun in your relationship.
Because fun in marriage is serious business.
I love it. And on that note, that's a wonderful kicker, as we call that in journalism. I love that tone, and that's just exactly what we're looking for. So thank you so much, David and Claudia, for joining us and being available for our Happiness listeners. And I so appreciate your time, and I feel very fortunate to help distill and benefit from the sum total of your personal and professional knowledge in this field.
Oh, thank you. It's been fun for us.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into my Happiness podcast, where we explore how to get the best out of the empty nest. I hope you'll subscribe, write a review, and reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Check out my website, judyhollandauthor.com. Have a great day, and remember, make it happen.